Demonstration, getting started with Google Cloud Launcher. This is a really fun demo. I get to show you the power here of Google Cloud Launcher and how easily we can spin up an entire software stack with just one single click. And we'll take a look at all the things that it does as well, the resources that it creates in Google Cloud Platform, and some of the neat things we can do once we get the stack spun up. And we're going to spin up a LAMP stack here, LAMP being Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. So we'll have a web server up there with a page on it. We'll even have MySQL installed, and I'll show you how we can remotely administer it. With that, let's head over to cloud.google.com and see just how easy it is to work with Google Cloud Launcher. So here we are, cloud.google.com. Now, we're going to be working with my personal account here because I've already got projects set up in here, and we can just jump right in and see this stuff in action. I know we haven't walked through the process of creating an account and creating projects, but we will. It's definitely coming. This is just a really neat demo to show you the power of the platform. All right, so let's head over to the My Console link here. That'll take us right to the developer's console. Once the page loads, it's going to take us to the dashboard for the currently selected project. And I have a couple of projects underneath this account. We're currently working with the GCP Nuggets project, and more on projects in the future. We have a whole nugget dedicated to what projects are all about. So this is going to give us a nice overview of this project, the resources used in it, and some nice charts here. And this is fully customizable. It's like your own little personal cloud platform homepage here. Really cool. And more on that as well in the future. But if we wanted to find Google Cloud Launcher, a couple of ways that we could do it. We could use the global search bar up here in the top nav, or we could drop down the side menu here and look for it. You can also search for it on products and services up here in the top search bar. But here it is right here, Cloud Launcher. And here's all the other products and services here in Google Cloud Platform. And if you're going to use this, if you have some go-to products and services that you use, it's a good idea to pin them. That's going to put them up here in the top nav, which will make it very easy to access in the future. Save you a couple of clicks down the road. So let's go ahead and click right on that little rocket ship here to get us into Cloud Launcher. So it's going to take us right to the All category, and it's going to show our featured solutions up top here. So some of the more popular stacks. You can come down here and click More to browse through everything, or you can search if you're looking for something specific. And then we also have it broken out by category, infrastructure, OS, database, right on down the line there. So let's find that LAMP stack. We could head over to infrastructure here and browse around for it, or we could just use the search bar, type in LAMP. And we've got a couple of them, one from Bitnami here, one from Google. Google click to deploy. So let's choose that one. It'll give us a nice overview of what this stack consists of. We can see that it runs on Google Compute Engine as a single virtual machine. Here are the versions of those software components and when the stack was last updated. Down here, we also get a really nice pricing estimate. These estimates are based on 30-day, 24-hour per day usage in the central U.S. region. And it breaks it down over here on the right. This is assuming a VM instance with an N1 standard 1 machine type. This is basically the physical specifications of your virtual machine. N1 standard one, for instance, is 1 CPU, 3.75 gigs of RAM. Plus a 10 gig boot disk equals about $36.90 a month. But Compute Engine has this awesome feature called sustained usage discounts. We'll talk more about this again when we get into Compute Engine. But essentially, the more you use your VMs, the more they're on, the less you pay. So since this assumes 30-day, 24 hours per day, we get a sustained usage discount of 30% off. So subtract 10 from that, and our total is roughly $25.95 a month for this stack running 24 hours a day all month long. So let's launch it. So we'll click Launch on Compute Engine. It's going to take us in, give us a couple of options to choose from here. For instance, we can give it a deployment name. This is how you'll view it and manage it from Deployment Manager. I'll show you that when it's spinning up here. We can choose our zone. I'm in the East US here, so I'm going to go ahead and choose, how about US East 1B as our zone. Remember the region here, US East 1, the zone is B. Here's our machine type, N1 standard one. There it is. One virtual CPU, 3.75 gigs of RAM. Lots of machine types to choose from. And then our disk type, standard or SSD. We'll keep that as a default. We'll keep our disk size as the default. We'll also say, go ahead and install phpMyAdmin so we can administer our MySQL databases from our browser remotely. Pretty cool. And then if we click on More here, you can also give your server name a prefix. So this is what it's going to show up as in Compute Engine when we're managing our instances. So if you're spinning up clusters, it's a good idea to do this, especially if you have lots of different workloads running. You'll easily be able to visually identify those machines. And then we can also choose our network, which we only have one default network inside of this project, so we'll stick with that. And all we need to do is hit Deploy LAMP Stack, and that's it. It's going to take 2 to 3 minutes to complete. So I'll be back when that's done, and we'll take a look at some of the things we can do once this is running on a Compute Engine instance. Look at that, it's ready to go. So we get a nice little overview of our deployment information. This was actually deployed by Deployment Manager. I'll show you this in a second, but essentially just sent a bunch of configuration files defining the resources and deployment manager spun up all those resources. Here's our zone, machine type, OS. Here's the MySQL administrator password there. And then, and obviously we chose yes there, so phpMyAdmin was installed. Here is our LAMP server. Here's the external IP address. Here we can SSH into it right from our browser. But before we click on this, we're going to need to allow HTTP traffic to the server, which it'll do automatically if we click on it. It's going to say, hey, do you want to allow HTTP traffic to the server? We'll say, yep, go ahead. And that'll create a firewall rule to allow HTTP traffic on to our Compute Engine instance. And then it'll also show us how we can access the phpMyAdmin. So you can actually click on it right here. It'll take you right to it. Since we now allowed HTTP access, it'll work. In fact, here we could just take this IP, copy it, paste it into a new tab, and watch this. Look at that. There's our default page getting served up from our Apache web server running on that instance. Pretty cool. But here it is. Login here is root. Password is whatever that crazy password was that it assigned us here. Let me copy this. All right. And boom. Now we can remotely administer our MySQL instance here from the browser. That's pretty cool, huh? All right. So that's it. There's some other things about how to get started and next steps and all that. But if we head down to Compute Engine now, let's do it. Let's go over to Compute Engine. We should see our instance running. There it is. Look at that. It's running. And now we can even SSH into it here. Let me fire this up and bring it up. And check it out. We're now SSH'd right onto our Compute Engine virtual machine, running our LAMP stack. All right, some other things we can do here is we can go right into this virtual machine and see all the settings. So here's a nice graph of activity that's going on that machine right now from some of the requests that we made. Get a nice overview of everything about this machine. We can see down here in firewalls, we have allow HTTP traffic, so we got a firewall rule that allows it on. And yeah, that's it. It's as easy as that to spin up a LAMP stack using Google Cloud Launcher. Now, another thing I wanted to point out here is Deployment Manager. This was all done through Deployment Manager. So if we head down to Deployment Manager, we can actually see the deployment. And what it did here is it actually spun up two virtual machines, one for coordination. See this VM instance here? Here, by the way, is the configuration file that was sent to Deployment Manager that defines all the resources, and Deployment Manager just does it. But this spun up one virtual machine here to coordinate everything, and then it destroyed that because what we were left with was just our LAMP1-LAMP VM instance. And again, here are all of the resources and their properties. So this was just all sent to Deployment Manager, and it spun everything up. So let's go ahead and clean up after ourselves here. All we need to do is click Delete Deployment, and that'll delete all of those resources that it just created, and will no longer be charged for them. All right, so cool. Now it's getting deleted, and if we try to hit these pages now, just reload this page. It's still spinning it down here, but soon enough, this won't. Here we go. There it is. The web page is not available, so that virtual machine has been destroyed. We can also verify that by heading back into Compute Engine. This project should no longer have any virtual machines in it, and it doesn't, so it'll give us this default quick start message. So that's Google Cloud Launcher. A great way to quickly get up and running here in Google's Cloud. And there's lots of predefined stacks out there, so take a look. At the very least, you can get a good starting point for your solutions. In this demonstration, we saw how to get started with Google Cloud Launcher and saw how easy it was to spin up an entire stack. In this case, a LAMP stack running on a Compute Engine instance. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.